Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Indies for June 13th, 2021. I'm your host, Joe Compton. We have a great show for you. We're going to talk about we're going to just appreciate. We're going to appreciate a lot today. So I hope you're ready for that. We've got a great Indie Connection as well for all of you Norse gods fans out there. We'll get right with the show. Today, I'm just going to throw out a little something that you might have missed. And if you missed it, don't worry, it's around and you can see it again. But here's a little taste of what you might have missed from us this week.
Like, it is a strength to be self-aware enough to be like, you know what, I suck at having the characters do stuff while they talk. Like, that's one of my big things, is it's just a wall of dialogue, and I'm like, but what are they doing while they're just spitting words at each other? So adding in all of that stuff. But like, that is one thing that I noticed, like, a lot of like new authors have a hard time recognizing where they're maybe not as strong as far as like they know what they're good at, but they don't really necessarily know what needs work. So I love how you are really
it's a learned skill. The first moment it hit me, I was in, what have I been, 10th or 11th grade, and it was like the first week with a new English teacher, and he asked us to write about who we were as writers, and I wrote this piece about how I'm so good and I'm so amazing, and he wrote back, "Really?" ? And I was pissed. But then it was also the first time that I'd like been challenged on it.
Right.
And once I got over my initial anger, I was able to stop and think, okay, there are things I can learn. And so that was a long process for me. You know, it was even continuing in graduate school. My first story was not super well received. I was really proud of it, and then it was just this horrific event for me. But I learned so much about sort of how to view my own writing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night News with Go Indie Now for June 2021. We've got a jam-packed show. It was kind of funny. All week long, we were talking about how the news was so, like, thin and bare, and then all of a sudden, like, things just blew up in the last 3 days. So it's like, okay, awesome. Great for us. Great timing.
Absolutely.
But, I'm Joe Compton.
And I'm Katie Salidas.
So our top story tonight is actually breaking news. If you haven't seen it, it's something that's happening. It just happened a couple days ago, actually yesterday, last night-ish, and dropped pretty much all around this morning. And that is the purchase by Overdrive.
Also, Watt had another one that's been out there for a long time. Those two companies in the last month have been bought out by two competing South Korean firms. So Wattpad was just bought out by, am I going to say it right, Naver? You think that's the right way to say it? Naver? Okay.
Yes.
They were just bought out by Naver. Now, Naver is the one who brought us Webtoons, which a lot of you guys know Webtoons, follow Webtoons. It's highly popular.
Hey guys, Theo Kinnan here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you your monthly marketing tip. And today I'm going to be talking about the bane of every author's existence, blurbs.
Amazon is kind of riding the coattails of what other people are doing, but in this case, they're doing on the author side here. It's still kind of a let's see what happens. It's, you know, I want to be positive, but I don't know, because I haven't personally seen anything on the author end from Amazon saying, "Hey, your ebooks are now going to be in libraries, and here's how we're going to pay you for them."
Mm-hmm. Well, Katie went from good news to bad news because for it's not over for the Amazon. Yeah, the chat is blowing up with the Amazon cracks, and we'll get to those in a second. But you guys want to hold on, because Katie unearthed, in going down this rabbit hole, Katie unearthed something that's probably a lot of people may not even know, and they may all know it. I don't know if I didn't know it, and I have one of these, so I'm just about to chuck mine, I guess. But you want to tell everybody what the deal is with our sad Kindles from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Katie?
Yeah, if you're like me and you use technology until the wheels fall off, you're about to lose your internet access.
Katie and I will be prepared for your crazy, weird questions and your drunk mannerisms as usual. So, because you know why, Katie?
Because it's always time to go indie now.
Yeah, I thought I'd just give you a little taste of what you might have missed live if you weren't with us live for those events. We do the news second Friday of the month. We used to do it first Friday, but we thought the second Friday was more eventful, so we moved it. But we only have one more of those shows left, and that July show is going to be Ask Us Anything. So if you want to come join us for that live show, we'll be taking your questions. So if you want to throw us curveballs, you want to try to stump us, you want to say something nice, say something awful, whatever, come and join us, and we'll be Katie and I will be fielding all of your responses and all your questions on that episode. That'll be our season finale, actually, for the year. So, but for not for the year, but for the summer. And then we'll be back in September. But regardless, those shows are available for you to watch right now. And right now, we have our roundtable discussion. See, I tried to get through that as fast as I possibly could. I know everybody's wondering what the hell's going on. All right. Well, welcome to our show. And as you can see, I've got a great group of people here. Some savvy folks who we kind of discussed it amongst ourselves, and I thought it was a pretty cool idea to kind of go full circle with what we've been talking about lately, which is, you know, appreciation and kind of a look overall at how we conduct ourselves together and with one another. And my good friend in the lower left-hand corner or lower right-hand corner for those watching, I guess, would be Miss Cannon there. She found a cool article about how authors can appreciate their readers, and so we'll discuss all that, because I looked at that, and I actually, while I was looking at the article and taking notes, I came up with a few of my own. So I'm sure everybody has a little bit of their own to add to the conversation. But before we do all that, why don't we find out who's really here and have everybody introduce themselves. I don't know if I guess Heidi had to go offline for a second, so I will just we'll skip over her for a second. And Mr. Gideon, why don't you start us off then?
Hey guys, my name is Alexander Gideon. My writing style can best be summed up by the phrase, "and many people died." I am the author of A Web of Crimson. You guys have heard a lot about this book. I promise the second book is coming soon. But if you like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, kind of that historic fantasy, you'll love this book. It features Aleister Crowley as the main character, the wickedest man in the world, and he definitely lives up to his name as this series goes along.
Welcome. Thank you for being here, sir. All right, Heidi, you're back with us. You want to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I am Heidi Angel, and I am the author of 14 books. I mostly publish spec fic with some nonfiction in there, focusing on poetry and writing tips and marketing. And I also have some courses that I've created around marketing for authors.
Nice. Welcome. It's nice to have you here. This is a good topic for you.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. Courtney, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I am Courtney, or CL Cannon is my pen name, and I am a fantasy and sci-fi writer. I mostly write YA, and I also own Fiction Atlas Press, where I publish other authors in some yearly anthologies. And I am on the show a few times. You might have noticed me on here a couple times or something, doing the Indie Connection and the monthly marketing tip, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes, for which she now has a producer credit on IMDb. Everybody,
yes, so awesome.
so go over to the page and click on it, because every time you click on it, she goes up in the standings. So that's pretty cool. So she'll be right up there with Brad Pitt one of these days.
Oh my God.
All right, Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm the author of the Runespell series, book 4 of which is coming out in November. And I am a Twitch writer, and we will be doing a conference soon, and all of those details will be touched on at some point.
Right on.
I am weird and distracted, okay?
All right, no problem. No worries. So, I think this is kind of like, let's talk about the article a little bit, because I think this is kind of an interesting look at things, because for the most part, I kind of feel like we're looking at a neglected segment of our marketing plans a little bit, in terms of, we all want to reach the idea that that's who we want to reach, but sometimes I just feel like looking at some of these options that she was Layla was talking about in her article, it just seemed like I was going around going, yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, that's interesting. That's neat. So I'm kind of curious from all of your perspectives. Are these some of the things you've tried? Some of the things you liked? I know Courtney's tried. Courtney's like the master. She probably checked off every single one of these on her list. So, she's probably got like 15 or 16 more to add to it. But yeah, but which I do too, Courtney. So don't feel bad. I got like 4 or 5 that I could add. But yeah, I just wanted to know what everybody thought, and I know that some of us are hoping we have a little bit more fans than we do, but it's something that we all aspire to, right? And these are kind of good ideas, I thought. But what does everybody else think?
Well, one of the things I thought was interesting is I don't know any indie author who wouldn't do those things if they were tagged by their fans. But most indie authors don't have fans doing those things. And I was disappointed that she didn't share tips on how to get your fans to do those things. Because I think that's the thing that most indie authors struggle with. They see what they should be doing, but they don't understand how to get that rolling. And so like with the character art that they were talking about sharing, you can have a competition and put it out there on social media, and the person who gets the most votes for the character of your choice that they're submitting for, and then they submit their different artwork and you share that and promote it. Even I don't even know if I should mention her, but a certain famous author who is in trouble with certain communities used that same thing to promote a children's book that she had, and the children sent in. That was all planned by her publicist. That's why she had so many entries, and she was sharing them all. We can do the exact same thing. We just have to know that that's how you generate that kind of content.
I agree with that a lot. I think a lot of authors are kind of scared to reach out and see if they have fans. Of course, you get reviews and things in your life, but does anybody? You have that doubt sometimes. Does anybody actually like what I'm doing? And I think a lot of it comes down to being afraid to sort of reach out to your fans and to see, who's out there, what they like, and get feedback from them, because feedback can sometimes be kind of hard.
Well, and I think there's also, even those of us who know, like a bunch of us, we do events, we go to the different conventions. How many have actually put out there, hey, the person who shows up at my booth that comes dressed as my character will get XYZ, and drive traffic with your existing fans to your booth and get them to dress up. I did that when I did SLC Comic-Con. There were only 3 that showed up, but those 3 that showed up was better than nothing. And they were all dressed up, and people, I mean, that's what do you do at con? When you see somebody you love, you get a picture. If you don't know who they are, you ask, what character are you? I mean, that's typical con convention behavior. Great marketing for me. Those 3 people, if they talk to 3 other people and 3 of them, talk to 3 others, it spreads.
Nice.
So I definitely feel like I'm kind of the odd man out here. I'm definitely the newest writer with the least content out. I'm one of those indie authors that really struggles with marketing, getting things out. And really it's because my first book came out during the pandemic. Before that, I had short stories, and it's really hard to market short stories. I found that I can sell them in person, because I sold the crap out of them at Atomicon in Charleston. Though everyone did great that weekend, people showing up. And this is kind of something I've been noticing both with Atomicon and then Con Carolinas that happened here just last week, I think. This year, people are looking to buy books. People are coming to events to buy books. And so that marketing is really great, being able to speak with people in person, to sell a book and everything. But online, I really struggle to get interaction. And I post things, I've tried posting, polls and that kind of thing to try to generate a little bit more. And I think it's because a lot of the base that I've built up, it's mostly writers. And so it's hard to market.
Not alone.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing.
Yeah,
writing community. I won't say anything else. Just writing community.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's great to have those followers, but it's like you have this number, but no one's commenting. Like, I had a post that I put out like yesterday or the day before, and I got like 2 comments on it, and I was just like ecstatic, because that's more comments than I like generally get on anything. And so it's like a lot of these tips and everything that I'm seeing in this article, it seems like they're great tips, but they also seem kind of exclusionary in the fact that if you're trying to build a fan base, are these things going to actually work? Or do you have to have a established fan base already for these things to work and to build more fans? And I feel like that, like, if I put out something like, hey, artwork of my character, I feel like I'm going to get crickets from that. Or if I'm like,
and you're 1 book in, right? So yeah,
I'm 1 book in, trying to get the second one out with, I'm syphilis certified with my short stories, but it's hard to sell.
Yeah, and series are different. Yeah, and series are completely different. So a lot of the tips that she recommended, like the giveaways, the book giveaways, and then even if you don't already have a book out, if you give away a book that's similar in your genre while you're building your audience, that is such a great tool to build your audience. You can build a social media. You can, more importantly, build your e-newsletter so that when your book comes out, you have that audience that's already built up and ready to go.
You can run
when I was building the Hunter series, I gave away a copy of Lost Boys, the movie, because mine was about vampires that should be killed, not kissed. So it's kind of a clap back at Twilight, but it was hearkening back to the 80s wonderful vampires that were fun to slaughter and murder, and it was beautiful. Anyway, and that helped me build my list. I had 150 people ready to buy when my book first came out. And
I also think you could run a contest on your table with where they sign up for your newsletter, and you pick one person who has signed up for your newsletter to dedicate the next book to. You have another book coming out, and that was one of the tips that she had, was dedicate a book to somebody, right? Or my tip, which I wanted to add to this list, which is make them a character in the next book, kill them in the next book.
I've seen that in a couple.
Do that you can do that on your table, and if you're getting good, like you say, you're getting great crowds. That's the perfect time to build your readership up, because that's who you're talking to. I mean, yeah, sure, some writers are going to come by your table, and obviously, a lot of the people that you're already there with, as far as writers go too, as authors go, and so, but you'll probably get a few that you didn't know, and they'll probably come by, but all of those people are paying money to go into that little, or maybe it's free, but they're getting out of their fucking house for once in their life,
right?
And they just want to interact with human beings,
and buy all the stuff that they didn't get to touch and buy during COVID. Oh, I hate online shopping. I used to love online shopping. I hate it now. I'm like, can I just go to a store and touch the thing I want to buy before I buy it?
And but also, you could also add. Alex, you could also add the virtual book club. You could start a book club with your e-newsletter, and say, hey, if you guys are reading the first book, the second book's about to come out. I'd love to have like a group discussion about the first book, and maybe that'll give you some, you've been struggling with the second book. Maybe that'll give you some, startup for the third, or, beyond that, you know what I mean? So there's ways to take advantage of these things in person for sure.
And
another way to leverage your writer's audience is if you use them for your book club. So you're targeting readers, but you're giving away your writer's audience books, or sharing those, promoting those, and then they'll in turn share your book club and then build your base. And as long as the writers that you're promoting are in your genre, now when you cross genres a lot, then it becomes a bit of a headache. Like some people learned badly, even though they know better. But if you're sticking with a genre, I mean, if you look at Andy Peliquin, look at his e-newsletter, and the way he built his e-newsletter list was promoting other fantasy authors, and they promoted him and their books, and then they just crossed their market. And that's a great way to leverage the writers group that you've got that aren't necessarily going to buy your books, but will still, especially if you're going to cross promote with them, they get something out of it too. That's a beautiful synergy, because none of us can, as much as Andy writes, he can't write enough books to satisfy my reading. Which is great.
Andy is awesome.
I'd be really sad if he could, but yeah, I mean, none of us can write enough.
And you have a distinct advantage over every single person here, Mr. Gideon, and that is you're published by Mr. John Hartness. And you could literally do an e-newsletter where you did an interview with him, and all the writers would sign up for that because they all want to know what John's thinking. So I'm sure he gets bombarded at those tables. I mean, I've been at conferences he's been at, and I've seen people just talk his ear off for hours. So,
that's one of the things that I think was such a disadvantage of releasing in 2020, especially in April of 2020, was that I had done MarsCon in Williamsburg that January, and we were kind of leading up to the release of the first book. Then I went to Saga as a volunteer, and it was just like all of the conventions that were planned got canceled. And so I kind of just like released a book into the ether, and that was it. There was no events for me to talk with people, to get word out, to do, promotional things with that. And that's kind of one of the things that I think was a drawback with this article, is that it didn't really talk about going to conventions and how much that can be benefit to you, where you can get people, who, when you're face to face. I feel like, if I'm able to do, 7, 8, 9 conventions a year, that's where I could definitely do a newsletter and build up a bit of a base with the newsletter. Just having people there, talking to me like, hey, you can sign up for my newsletter, get all this information and everything. And that's where I feel like I'm going to get a lot more interaction than I'm going to, currently. I know everyone on Facebook. They're all my friends. They're not fans. And then Twitter is mostly other writers and everything. And so I feel like it's going to be harder, doing it virtually completely rather than doing it in person. Because I feel like I'm a lot more interesting in person than I am online. I never know what to post. I'm always just like, I don't want to put that out there. But in person, I can definitely be more interactive and, on.
See, I'm just the opposite.
Me too.
I am way more fun online than I am in real life. You don't want
Oh, that's not true. That's not true.
Oh, in short bursts. Short bursts.
That's not true. I've had the pleasure of eating with Heidi twice now, and yes, no, I don't find that at all. But I was also going to say, the cool thing about fans in person is they translate the fans online too, and they go, hey, look, I just met this author at this conference, and now he's following me on Twitter, or I mean, how many times when somebody famous follows you, do you go, oh my God, that person's following me, right? And so it's like they have a certain, small expectation, and then you have kind of a famous ideal behind you because that your fans are following you, kind of thing. So.
And I think the key to posting online is a lot of us, we make the mistake of making it all about us. Mm-hmm. When we're posting, we need to be thinking about what does the fan care about. And I hate Twitter and their stupid random questions, but the reason those random questions get so many answers is because it's about other people. It's not about the person who's posting. You're asking a question that your fan base is interested in answering. Target that nostalgia, whatever it is. But that's why they get so many, because everybody wants to talk about themselves. If you give your fans a space where you're talking about them and giving them a chance to tell you about themselves and what they're into and make that personal connection, that's golden.
Totally. What do you think, Sarah? You want to jump in here?
I'm just trying to come up with an evil plot to get somebody to get a tattoo of my books.
Right.
That was pretty neat.
that is a huge sticking point for me on this whole article. Is I'm like, what would a tattoo look like that is fan inspired? Inspired by my books. What would that look like? And how can I convince somebody to do this?
You do it first, and then you just put it out there, and you don't have to say it's yours. Just look at this really cool XYZ book inspired tattoo, and you can do a henna tattoo even, so you don't even have to worry about it being like permanent. Unless you're like me and you're afraid of needles, and then you're just
okay. Two problems with that. If I had that kind of money to get a tattoo, I would be spending it on marketing. and two, I actually used to be a professional belly dancer, and we'd get henna all the time. And apparently, there is something about my skin that does not actually retain the color of henna very well, so it looks like super faded. It's very sad because yeah, it's just it didn't work.
Yeah, that was the one that stuck out to me too, because that was just weird. That was just a little obsessive, I mean, I don't know if I want to know that fan that's going to tattoo something of me on them. I think
if it's my book, I'm okay with it. If it's me, it's a little crazy.
Like my face on their arm. Like, I'm good.
and then you have some odd things. Like for me,
Oh no.
Oh. Oh. But yeah, there are some odd things on there for sure.
Well, I think she was trying to give people some ideas that are very out of the box, because some of the first ones she gave are very common. But when everybody's doing it, it's less exciting unless you're already a part of the fandom. But when you find that niche fun thing that nobody else is doing, and then it takes on traction, that's, with marketing, we're always trying to be at the front of the next craze. It was social media, and then it was email, and then it was TikTok, and then it was, and if you're at the front of it, you can get massive gains. But when you come into it in the middle of it, you just get incremental gains. And so she was trying to kind of give you guys an idea of how to think outside the box, because that's really a key thing there, is being able to figure out how you can do something that nobody else is doing, disrupt what other people are doing, and catch people's attention.
That's why Kindle Vella is so like niche right now. Everybody's like, "Oh, I gotta get my Vella story. I gotta get my Vella story." Yeah,
they're trying to get at the front of that new hot thing that's going to get people's attention. And we know Amazon puts money behind those new hot things. So
yeah.
Well, we've debunked that. It's not as hot and new as people think it is. But,
no, of course not. It's just Amazon trying to refresh things. But that's why people are trying to stay at the forefront of. But yeah, I mean, just when you're thinking about things to do for marketing, think what you can do that's outside of the box. One of the things that I am going to do for next year's convention with LitCon, sorry, brain freeze. I'm actually going to do a scavenger hunt. And I've done those with live conventions before, where the clues are online. They go online, they follow the thing, and they get the different things around the booths at the convention center. And those were really popular. We can do the exact same thing with a virtual booth setup. So that's one of the things that I want to do this year for LitCon, is have that fun thing. Anything you can do that excites a fan, that gets them interested, that makes them go, oh, this is fun, not, oh, they're trying to sell me shit. Because nobody wants to be sold to. We all want to be a part of the cool new thing, but we don't want to have to buy the cool new thing. We want to decide it. We want to discover it. We don't want to be sold to. And if you treat your fans that way, they'll be golden.
Sarah said something that kind of reminded me of a point that I wanted to make, and it was, you're saying if you had the money, to get a tattoo, you'd rather put that into marketing. And I think one of the other issues that I found with this article was having the capital to be able to do a lot of these things. For me, a lot of times it's like, do I do some marketing or do I eat this week? And and it's an unfortunate position to be in. Giveaways are hard just because I have to have the money to have the thing to give away. And
you can do digital giveaways. They are popular too. And then also doing something like what Joe had mentioned earlier. If you're giving them an opportunity to be in your book, that literally costs you nothing. Running your e-newsletter list could cost you something depending on which program you're going with. But if you're doing it right and partnering with and using affiliate links, then hopefully you're making a little bit money back while you're waiting to get your next book out. But yeah, find those freebie giveaways, because again, it's not about getting something. It's about discovering. And if you can help them discover something cool and help them feel like they're part of that new niche group, that's the thing that works really well with bloggers too, because they want to be the first one talking about the hot new book.
Something that I was thinking about, like during this, I think it'd be cool to actually give out copies of, if I could get them, copies of the actual book of the law that Aleister Crowley wrote. It's some crazy shit. Like, if you've ever read it, it's batshit crazy. But it'd be cool to have this thing that was actually written by the real person. And I named the series "The Books of the Law" after the fact that he did that. So I mean, like, that was something there. But with talking with Capital, I mean, it's one of those things that I wish that I could get into doing self-publishing. And I know it would be easy to be able to write stuff, get it out there. But I would want good covers, good editing, that kind of thing, and that kind of stuff costs money. And so it's like, I want to get into it to be more hybrid, to have more content out. But it's like, you feel like to do it right, now there's this paywall that's there that's kind of hard to overcome. And I think that paywall can be hard for a lot of indie authors. You know, not many of us got into this because we were rich and just needed something to do. We got into this because it's the thing that we love to do, and we're able to do it around our day job. And so that paywall can definitely be a hard thing to overcome sometimes.
Well, Sarah, you dropped out on us. Did you want to finish your point that you were making before we couldn't hear you anymore? Do you even remember?
Yeah, I was just saying that there's some interesting dilemma in certain kinds of promotional possibilities, because with the rune spells, one of the more visible symbols is the runes. And there's a very specific portion of the American population that is tattoos that I want nothing to do with. So there's possible hazards that have to be considered.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
But no, I agree that you know, there's probably, I'd say, about a third of the population in the U.S. is below the poverty line, and with the pandemic, that number has not improved any. So having the capital for marketing above and beyond, you know, the freebie stuff, the electronic stuff, it can be difficult, and it can be really hard when you've been doing marketing for years and, you know, you've given away all of your ebooks 30 times.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, we do have to be careful about the giveaways. Like, I would never give away the second book in my series except to reviewers or as ARCs. After the first book, I don't do giveaways on my other books for general fandoms. I typically keep that to just for book bloggers and reviewers, and everybody else can pay, because I had to pay to publish it. So sorry, guys, I'm not that well off.
Gee, I was just sitting here thinking, Courtney, is there ways to save some money and do some marketing, freebie, or maybe affordably? Maybe you know somebody or have some idea about that?
I might. Of course, I run Fiction Atlas Author Builders, and all of my builders, the base price is usually around $25. Some of our stuff is as low as $10. We never go above $38, and that is to promote 8 platforms. But also, just for anybody who just doesn't have any money at all, I also want to give kind of tips for that. You can create all kinds of little things. There's all kinds of free programs online where you can do graphic design or make your own little maps. You can make your own little, you can do a free sample chapter or a chapter, like a side story that you just write, and, you know, have a beta reader look over it if you can't afford an editor for a small section, or just something that you can give that's still valuable and is still going to get your readers excited, and it's free. It's directed at your book that you can give away as part of an entry to get into your newsletter, or again, like what Heidi was saying, how we as authors can help each other, especially if we're in the same genre. You can do group giveaways, which is one of the things I started out doing, and then I turned it into this business. But like, say you only have like one paperback you can give away, or you've only got $20 to invest. Well, you can get 10 other authors, and you can have a much bigger prize or more winners. You know, you can do like one person gives away a book to everyone, and it looks like a bigger giveaway because you have more people. Sorry, there's a motorcycle. But you have more people kind of coming together as one to promote in the same genre. So you're helping everyone, and you're paying a very low cost. And you can do that with ebooks. You can do that with paperbacks. You can find, if you don't even if you're not published yet, like Heidi said, you can do a comparable title. She did The Lost Voice. If you're writing something that's close to some other book, like a Stephen King book or whatever your genre is, find a popular author that's comparable and and give that away if you can. If you've got a free used book on your shelf that you can give away, there's a lot of different ways that you can utilize free resources that are out there. Like I said, there's a lot of free graphic programs out there. You can make, let's say you have a restaurant or something in one of your stories. You can make the restaurant menu. You can make a map of your, not a very detailed map, but they've got some map making stuff out there, a map of a certain part of your story, or trying to think of some other stuff. Just kind of like bonus little details that if someone's read your story, they'll think, oh, that's so clever, and that makes me feel more connected with those characters. So
yep, I had bookmarks for the characters from the Clear Angel Chronicles, and there's one for Grant and there's one for Clear, and they're giveaways. People get them for free when they buy the book off my website, or they get them at conventions for free when they buy a book, and people love them. And I literally Pixabay. That's how I did it. Pixabay, a little changing of the colors in GIMP, and then I don't even remember who the printer was, because I printed 500 2 years ago, and then I haven't been able to do any conventions since. So, but they're great giveaways, and it's like, I think I pay 0.002 cents per, so it didn't cost me. It was like $50 for 1,000 bookmarks.
Was it Vistaprint?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah,
Also, Canva has a printing service. I haven't used them yet, but they're not too terribly bad. They're not great for like giveaways, but if you have posters that you want to create and sell of your book, you can use Canva to print and sell those. And then
they did print.
Yeah, it's super easy to use. And I haven't actually tried them, but if their quality for their print is as good as their digital, it's worth it. And then you can also utilize things like Teespring or Redbubble or things like that to create other merchandise that you can turn around. It doesn't cost you anything. You use the cover art from your book or a snippet of the cover art from your book. You don't even have to use the whole thing. Or, put $50 towards a Fiverr designer to create something for you. But then you can utilize that for the next 5-10 years and put it on anything and everything. So yeah, the more you put that stuff out there, the more fans will get into it and get excited about it. And you can do sneaky things like make a mug, buy the mug for yourself, which is like $10, and then have it for your Mugshot Monday.
What are you talking
You
about?
do the
What are you
Mugshot
talking
Monday.
about?
I knew it.
What are you-
Make some
wait,
shirts.
What are you talking about, sneaky things? I don't have any
Make some
sneaky
shirts.
things.
People like them.
Something that was really interesting that I've never seen before was something that we did at Con Carolinas. Now, it'd be harder to do as a single author, but it was something that Falstaff did totally, and that was the Misfits the Gathering thing. So basically, we had they looked like magic cards, the Magic the Gathering, but they were printed with individual authors. Everyone had cards of their books. We had 5 cards each to give away each day, and if fans collected 5 cards, they got 10% off of their whole order. And over the weekend, it translated into about $1,000 worth of sales for Falstaff. So, and it was something that we all could give out. And, I did, for giving out cards, I did some trivia, that kind of thing at panels, or just, people that talked a lot, gave them out and everything. And that translated into some sales. Now, if I'd have had a booth, I think that would have been better for me. But I came into being a guest at Con Carolinas pretty late. I was like 3 weeks before, and it was like, oh, yeah, you're going to be a guest. And I was like, oh, crap, there's not tables available, and I can't get product now and everything. But, yeah, it was super successful. People were really excited about it. And the other thing that I've noticed with marketing is I used to have business cards. Don't do business cards. People don't give a shit about business cards. Bookmarks, though. People love bookmarks. And that I've been watching my traffic at my website, and it's gone up over the last month with all the bookmarks that people have taken and everything. So the bookmarks worked. Now, whether or not they're actually clicking through to look at books and buy them, I have no idea. For some reason, Author Central on Amazon will not show me book sales of A Web of Crimson. I don't know why it won't. so I can't look at it. I can only look at the anthologies. But yeah, I'm definitely getting traffic because of those.
Nice. You could also have a QR code too there.
Mhm.
That's the direct marketing, you know. Goes
If
right
I can
there.
figure out how to do this.
Oh, no. Literally Google QR code creator. No joke.
Mm-hmm.
You all you have to do is enter in the website URL, and it says, okay, here's your image. You know,
Yeah.
copy paste. It is so easy. I don't know if it's on my current bookmark design, but I actually put the QR code at the bottom of one of my bookmarks at one point.
And I
'Cause,
have all of my QR stuff goes through my website so that I can
The
track.
hilarious thing is most of the events that I've gone to are mixed genre events that are primarily older people looking for regional books, neither of which I write for. and they go, oh, what do you do with this? And then I get to spend a whole bunch of time explaining QR codes. But I do keep bookmarks because I get the freebie ones, you know, the Vistaprint, you know, $5 for 3,000 or whatever it is, insane deal. Is it Vista? No, whatever it is, I don't know. But people are always asking me questions like, you know, oh, that sounds interesting. What is that website again? So I grab one of my business cards and jot it down, and I'm like, here you go. Oops, now you have my information too.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, let me jump in here real quick, and I'll say this to anybody out there writing a book about a Norse god. You're looking to add some books to your tables. Well, TL Cannon's got you covered this week. I know we were all very excited for the premiere of Loki, and now you know some indie books that are going to be that are published around that very subject. Here you go.
Hey guys, TL Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bring you another Indie Connection. And this week, to celebrate Marvel's new Loki series, we are going to be doing Loki by Mackenzie Lee. And all of the books that we'll be featuring will be indie books that involve Loki, our favorite god of mischief. The first book I have for you is called Loki by Mike Vashik. God of mischief, father of lies, harbinger of destruction. Exiled and tortured by the gods, Loki swears vengeance. He will summon the mighty Fenris wolf and the legendary Midgard serpent, and they will lead an army of giants and all the dead in Niflheim. Brimming with the power of the most destructive being in the 9 worlds, he will not rest till Asgard is in ashes, and all the gods are dead under his heel. The second book I have for you is called Loki, a novel by M.G. Farija. Born a king, raised a prisoner, arises a legend. In the heat of battle and bloodshed, the realm of Jotunheim falls to Asgard. Amid the slaughter, Bor, the Asgard king, spares his enemy's infant son. The youth is spirited back to Asgard and spends the first 12 years of his life locked in a dungeon, until Prince Odin vows to uphold his father's dying wish. United in blood as brothers, Odin frees the boy and swears no harm shall come to him. His name? Loki. Peace has reigned for 24 years when Loki and Thor, Odin's son and heir, embark on a secret mission deep into the heart of Asgard. But when a Jotun warrior hiding among the locals makes an attempt on Thor's life, that stability is set on a knife's edge. Now the king of Asgard, Odin is convinced that the rival kingdom of Jotunheim is once again preparing for war. As Odin readies his armies for the inevitable battle, Loki covertly sets out to Jotunheim to discover the truth and stop a needless war. What he finds sends him down a path of betrayal and deception from which there is no return. Hundreds of thousands of lives hanging in the balance as the lines blur between prophecy and reality. and as fire and shadows loom on the horizon, a frightened boy caught between two kingdoms must grow to become a man. Faced with the fury of a king gone mad, Loki must sacrifice everything he holds dear to ensure his people survive, including the lives of those he loves most. The third book I have for you is called Loki of Midgard, The Making of a Magician, by Jennifer Minking. As Loki's rite of passage draws ever closer on Asgard, a secret portal just outside the palace repeatedly, almost forcibly, entices him back to Midgard. It's the fascinating jazz age of 1924. As Loki travels through Europe, dazzling adoring crowds with his colorful illusions, he feeds his growing thirst for fame. Parading as Lucas Black, the showman and magician, proves far more intriguing than studying or playing second fiddle to his warrior brother, Thor. Back on Asgard, King Odin begins to value the overlooked prince, who suspects the Asgardian noblewoman he is expected to marry is connected to both the threat to his father's throne and the murderous stalker pursuing him on Midgard. Meanwhile, why could he not forget the beautiful American singer promised to another? Torn between two worlds, Loki plays a high-stakes game of risk and danger that could cost him everything. Will his double life be his undoing? The fourth book I have for you is called Fragments of Your Soul, by E.S. Erbsland. Since the sudden death of her father, Avrid Bergen is fighting to support herself and her unemployed mother. After she unintentionally crosses the border to another world, Arvid is driven by a single wish, to leave this dark mirror world as soon as possible. Looking for assistance with this seemingly impossible task, Arvid encounters the god Loki, with whom she strikes a bargain. However, her confidence is suddenly shaken when she learns that Loki is a liar, traitor, and murderer, and one she should neither trust nor help. But longing for home, Avrid throws caution to the wind. And I've got a fifth bonus book for you this week. It's called Loki, the Mind of a Trickster by A.B. Frost. Before I begin this short tale, allow me to introduce myself. I am the Lightbringer and the Speaker of Truths. Some know me as the God of Mischief, the Sly One, the Trickster, the God of Lies. Most just call me Loki. I am, without apology, motivated by magic, self-preservation, disorder, and lust. Might I add, the gods would not be able to find their way out of a brown paper bag if it was not for yours truly, but we can get to that later. For now, let us talk about the time I grew a bit bored and something forbidden caught my eye, and how I ended up hiding out in Wildfire Aspect, creating all sorts of chaos across the 9 realms. Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on Indie Connection. Bye.
And as always, we're very thankful to Miss C.L. Cannon for doing that for us each and every week. And it's awesome that I get to thank her in person when she's here. So thank you very much. And it's very cool. And you may have to do another one because Anita says she's writing a book about Loki with 3 elves and a chicken. That sounds really
I will put her on there, the next one.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about 2 more things before we left here. That was from this article that I had questions about. Right. The first thing was about sending out arcs, and that was an interesting one to me because it also talked about reviews, and they're kind of connected a little bit in certain respects. And I'm just curious from everybody's perspective in terms of the arc idea, how keen you are on that, and do you have a limit? Do you make sure it's only a certain amount of people, or are you willing to give it away to as many people as possible who will write a review?
I think the key right there is who will write a review.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why after my first book in a series, I don't give as many away to my fan base because I'm cannibalizing my sales by doing that. Give them the chance to buy it before I give it away to them. I focus mine on utilizing book reviewers and planning an event so that they have a time crunch that encourages them to do that review in that time frame. And then I usually have a giveaway that's associated with it. It's not the book that's coming out. It's usually the first book in series. If it's a new series, it'll be something that's tied to the audience that I'm trying to build with that series. But I don't give my book away to fans as much because then I'm reducing that. I'll give my first book away. That's the hook. That's the lure. If they like the first book, they'll buy the second book. But
yeah, that makes sense. How about for anybody else? What is your art policy?
I have a list. I have a list of people with blogs, vlogs, YouTube channels, Twitch channels, etc., who are known for reviewing books. And every time I have a book release, I stare at that list and go, oh God, why is my list so big? And then I try and whittle it down to those who are actually interested in that genre, with emphasis on those who have reviewed previous books in the series. And out of that list, I will throw an e-copy of my soon-to-be released book at whoever will stand still long enough for me to email them. I'm not as big a fan of sending paperback ARCs. And I understand why people ask for them, but they also need to understand why $15 in postage is just not exactly going to make me a happy person.
yeah, I'm pretty restrictive of who I give the paperbacks away to. They have to have a certain audience level and they have to have a certain engagement level.
Well, and
they have to do YouTube. They have to do a physical thing where the physical book would be worth more value than having just the ebook. So like if they're big Instagrammers or if they're big on BookTube, then I will consider sending it. But I also limit it to usually 10 to 15 paperbacks. That's usually all I can afford for a release.
What were you going to say, Sarah?
No, I'm not sure.
All right. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the thank you on reviews. I don't see many people do this, but I do this. I thank every single review, whether it's bad or good, because I think that person took the time to write it. They should be acknowledged for doing that, and I don't care if they don't like me, and that's fine. Whatever, it doesn't matter to me. And she mentions just thanking the people who give you 5-star reviews, which I thought was kind of odd, because you shouldn't be doing, you should be doing everybody. I mean, 5-star reviews should be like those things you covet, but it's not really, it's as arbitrary, almost as arbitrary as 1-star reviews in a lot of respects for me. I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. If you want to give me 5 stars, give me 5 stars. But I really would love for you more to engage with me and figure out and tell me what's going on, and what you really liked, all those things. So I'm okay with all that. But I know there's a lot of authors out there that aren't, that they take it very personal. They take it very, it's very hard to hear criticism or hear feedback or to hear things that maybe they weren't expecting to hear. Maybe they were hoping that they get their ego stroked a little bit. I don't know, whatever the case may be. But that's why I always, even if they do a 1-star, even if it's a 1-star where they're talking about how they couldn't download the book because Amazon sucks, I'll still thank them for the review. But because those reviews exist, everybody, believe it or not. And most of the time, 1-star reviews have nothing to do with you or your book. There's a lot of that. It usually
or it's a political
Amazon
thing, too, depending on what you write.
This book is leftist. Front page. There you go. That's how I'm marketing this. This book is too leftist. There you go.
You made me like Aleister Crowley, you bastard.
I'm
waiting. So go ahead.
I was just going to say that's when the review is no longer critique. Now it's a selling point.
Yeah, right.
I'm waiting for the first person who was like, Aleister Crowley, this isn't like the Aleister Crowley in real life. I'm like, yeah, he was a misogynistic prick, so that's why he's not like the real life Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, so I was just curious what everybody else thought of doing, thank you on reviews. Is that a practice that you preach to? Is it something that you adhere to, and what extent do you go to in that respect?
When I'm doing it, I thank them all. And if they're part of a tour, even if they give me a 1-star review, I still share their stop on the tour and I thank them for it. If it's not part of it, it's harder, especially Amazon shutting down on your ability to engage with reviews because of poor actors. And I think that my advice to any authors is if you know you can't handle criticism, don't read your reviews. You can do a generic thank you without reading your reviews. But if you're the kind of person who just can't do that, just leave them alone because it's not worth making a lot of people very angry. And please, for God's sakes, do not post the review and have your harem on whatever platform attack the reviewer because it wasn't a 5-star review. When I see those on 4 stars, I get so mad. I actually block authors. That's the one thing you're guaranteed to get blocked from with me is if you badmouth reviewers just because you don't like the review they gave you.
I have a very distinct policy on reviews. I never respond to them at all, ever. Doesn't matter if they're good or bad. Never, ever, ever. It is not worth, even responding to a positive review positively can turn pear-shaped really fast for really weird reasons. So it's not worth because the negative fallback will always fall on you. And there's just no real way to deal with it appropriately 100% of the time. So I'll thumbs up reviews, but I will not engage with anybody who does a review. I will personally thank people that I have any kind of previous interaction with who does a full blog post kind of review or YouTube kind of review where there's serious substance to it. I'll give them a personal, hey, thank you for doing this for me. But otherwise I don't react to reviews at all, ever, and I do not do so on a public forum at all, ever.
I should amend what I was saying to when I say thank you. What I do is I put it on my fan page. I put the review up and I say, here's another review of the book. I don't say, thank you for leaving a 5-star review or 1-star review. I just say, here's another review. I let it be whatever it's going to be for whoever wants to read it. But that's how I thank people. I don't personally go and thank them. I just put their review onto my page and say, here's another review for the book, and let people decide, and if somebody, and like Heidi said, if somebody does a comment, and I've had this happen actually, Heidi, where somebody made a comment about, oh, that guy doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, and you're wrong about this character kind of thing. I'll ask that person to take down their comment first and say, let's not badmouth anybody who has an opinion on things because it's their opinion and that's all that matters. Or and if they don't take it down, I take it down and I remove them because like Heidi said, that's the thing that'll get blocked for me too. And I don't block people. I don't like to do that kind of thing. But you have no choice if they're not going to cooperate. I just think we need to be a little bit more cognizant of the idea that people are giving their time. They took their time to read your book, even if they hated it. They did read it, maybe even if it's 10 pages and they threw it away, whatever. I don't, it's still 10 pages that you read. So, and I got paid for that. So, hopefully I got paid for that. but but that being said, that's how I feel about that. So, I don't know. Anybody else? Courtney, you want to chime in?
I usually don't, just like Sarah, don't respond to reviews right on the review. Sometimes I will share them in my marketing materials, like see what people are saying about this book, or if there's a particularly long and thoughtful one, I might screenshot it and put it on one of my social media pages and say thank you for this lovely review. And I use it more as a marketing opportunity, because really that's what reviews are there for. They are there to sell your book, and they're there to inform readers, because reviews are not really for us. It kind of sounds weird, but reviews are for the people that are actually going to be looking to see if they're going to purchase your book. So I try not to, if there's constructive criticism, of course, try to look at that and see if it's something that you can work on. If it's something nice, give yourself a little pat on the back or something. But I don't usually try to engage with fans in that way, because there's so many other ways that you can engage with them and get them to be excited about your content and build a actual relationship with you that's not so focused on give and take, and more about just a mutual respect for each other.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I have an incredible amount of respect for you, my friend. So tell everybody where they can find you and gain that respect as well, because they need to. They need to know this person right here. So tell everybody where they are.
You can find me on clcanon.net. That's my main website. I also have fiction-atlas.com. You can find me on all my social medias as clcanon author or cl_canon on Instagram, because I already built my platform on there and I forgot to make it the same. But usually if you just Google clcanon, you will find me. And if you don't find me, you'll find some sort of building company in North Carolina. So the one that says author is me. But like I said, I write fantasy and sci-fi. I like to help authors. I like to post marketing tips and buy books. So just look me up, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend, for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate that Sarah's about to do something that I've done before, and that's stay up for 72 hours straight. Tell everybody about this idea and what we're doing there, and where they can find you personally as well.
Okay. We are doing a 3-day, not quite 72 hours in a row, but it's going to come close. 3-day, round the clock, availability worldwide. We have accounted for all time zones, Twitch-based writers conference. We have 72 separate streams, or 72 separate panels, discussions, workshops, or presentations. That's the word I'm looking for. I've already been up for like 72 hours, so it's not going well. And we will have a sprinting stream, a chill stream, a Discord, which everybody can use to chit chat and relax. And there's going to be a lot of fun. It is going to be inspirational. We have world building concepts all over the place. We have our own voices panels all over the place. We have how to do marketing panels all over the place. It is going to be a thing of beauty, as long as we could, finalize the schedule, because nothing like last minute schedule finalization. It's what we're working on now. That's why I'm up all the time, always up. Speaking of always up, you can find that information on writersconduit.com. And you can find me on Sarah BUHRMAN in a lot of places, Author Goddess in the rest of the places. AuthorGoddess.com is the website. It has most, if not all, of my social media linked there. So that's a good place to start. And if you have any questions, you can find me anywhere online. I'm usually just wandering around answering random messages.
Nice. Awesome. That's going to be an awesome time.
It is going to be so much fun.
It's in a couple weeks, everybody, so get ready for it. All right. Also, get ready to see this guy around town because I'm sure you got more events coming up. Do you not, Mr. Gideon?
Unfortunately, the only other event that I've got this year is going to be Dragon Con.
Okay.
Unfortunately, again, I am not a attending professional. I'm just going to Dragon Con just because of all of the marketing and networking opportunities. But if you're going to be at Dragon Con, I'll definitely be there. And then hopefully after that, it'll be Mars Con in January. And I'm hoping to have a slew of events in 2022. You can find me at alexandergideon.net right there. It's got links to all of my social media, all of my books, link to my blog, readasthouwill.com, which I should be getting more posts up there in the next month or so. I've got some that are planned that I'm going to be putting up there. If you don't want to go to my website, that's okay. You can find me on Twitter at Alexander Gideon. On Facebook, we just search Alexander G.R. Gideon, and then on TikTok at Alex Gideon Author.
Nice. And is this your first Dragon Con?
This will be my third Dragon Con.
Okay, so you know what to expect.
Oh, yeah. And it should be a good year because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to come just because we're just now kind of starting to get out of things and get back to normal. So there's going to be still a lot of people who aren't going to be there. So it might be a lighter year, good first year for some people. There are some authors that I know are going to be there. One author that I know, Shami Stovall, is going to be there. She's someone who I've become a big fan of in the last just couple of months. Found out she's going to be there, so I'm hoping to meet her and meet some other authors and do some good networking.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing the celebrity thing this year where they have the celebrity sign and you pay for it. I don't think that's happening this year. So
I'm not sure, but I know there's supposed to be some celebrities there. I just don't know if they're going to do that.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the turnoff for a lot of them was that they didn't want to interact with people if they, that kind of thing. So,
I mean, it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, true.
I mean, next year is going to be a different thing, I think. But I mean, again, we haven't even hit herd immunity yet, so
yeah.
I think that's fair for this year.
Nice. Well, go out and check it out and. Get involved with him and help him out. Let's get him some fans, everybody. So I know I'm a big fan, so I appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you so much.
Always.
All right, Heidi, you want to tell everybody about what you got going on? I know you got some classes coming up. You want to tell everybody a little bit about that?
Oh, I'm actually in the middle of the third 30-day marketing challenge of this year. I think it's going to be the last one, unfortunately. But because the rest of this year is a little bit crazy with some other stuff, but it'll definitely be back in 2022. And then I have a bunch of courses that are available on my website, as well as 14 books. And my website is HEIDIangel.com. And that's angel with 2 L's because I'm not that kind of angel.
For being here. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. It's nice to see you again and have you here. And nice to have all of you here. And thank you so much for joining us. It was a great. Oh,
sorry.
It's all right. I just muted it, Courtney. It's fine. So. Courtney Cannon's got a drag race going on in their neighborhood right now. But for everybody else, if you not doing anything here in the next 15 minutes, go over to our page, youtube.com/c/GoIndie now, and we have a debut of a new episode from one of our newer shows that we've been producing. Hosted by the awesome A.F. Stewart. It's called Words That Kill, and as you can see, it's episode 4, Stalking Your Prey. She's got the awesome Kim Richards talking about female serial killers, everybody. So it's a really
fun.
Cool, it's a real cool conversation. So you can join me. I'll be over in the chat hanging out while the show goes on, and just hang out with us. It's only a 20-minute show, so it's not that long. But come and join us for that. That's at the bottom of this hour. And besides that, thank you all for being here. Thank you for all the interaction. Thank you to our great panel and all the people who make this possible. So with that being said, it's always time to go indie now, and we will see you soon. All right, everybody. Take